How are you today, man? How's everything going? How you feeling?
Doing well, man. Feeling pretty good. A little sluggish still recovering from that long day on Monday, but working through it.
Absolutely, man. I saw that actually in your logs that other than that one day, you've been getting pretty consistent with everything. You've been getting pretty consistent with your sleep. Only an hour or two in your downtime, but your uptime seems to be within like a half hour, even not even an hour, a full, only a half hour. That's great, dude.
Yeah, right at 8 o'clock every day.
So that's fantastic.
Yeah, no
I'm
doubt.
I'm recognizing that. I hope you're recognizing that.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's good. I feel my body kind of settling into that rhythm. More natural. I'm waking up at that time on my own without necessarily having an alarm.
Absolutely, that's great, man. And right along with that, I noticed that you're also getting pretty consistent in your meals.
Definitely getting there. It's better than it was for sure.
Exactly. And that's all I'm saying here. We got to recognize that. I know you're not where you want to be, but you're never really gonna, at least in my experience, I'm never really where I want to be. I'm further than I ever thought I would be, and I'm still not where I want to be. You know what I mean? So it's
Oh
important
yeah,
to just recognize you're definitely doing better in that area as well. I
absolutely.
notice you're even just the fact that you're eating more. You're eating a full, what I would call a full meal plan worth of food now.
Yeah.
You're getting your breakfast with your coffee, you're getting something midday, and you're getting a dinner at night.
Not necessarily. I should start putting the times in there with my meals, but I'm at least consistently, for the most part, getting that like lunchtime meal and then a later day like dinner meal. And I've been able to
Yep.
like, I haven't really been snacking too much, other than I think you've seen like, there's Sunday or something, Sunday and last night, I snacked a little bit, but yeah, yeah, for the most part, I've been consistently getting that lunchtime and that dinner time meal. And kind of back to what you said before, I definitely, I often have to stop and remind myself that picture that I have in my head is not realistic. You know what I mean? That version of me that I'm shooting for in my head is usually way blown out of proportion. So
I'd like to hear what you do have in your head. What to you, if you could do it right now, you could just snap your fingers. What would be perfect completion of the current goals that you see? What would that look like for you?
I mean, I don't necessarily see perfect. I just see better production, more self control, more discipline, more clear headed. But at the same time, I know that like those are all things that I'm working towards. You know what I mean? Like when I really stop and look at it, there's nothing going on now that I'm like unhappy with that needs to change, and I'm not working towards it. If that makes sense.
No, it does. It absolutely does, dude. It makes perfect sense. And I think
Yeah.
that's all important stuff to just keep telling yourself. Because especially in today's world, we often get the impression that we got to do more. It's never enough. And as long so I get that feeling that you have. I still get it too. But I think you're already on to the solution, right? Which is just to keep telling, explaining it, and again, realistically explaining it, right? Not just vague. Everything is fine. Oh, I'm doing good enough, but like actually breaking it down. And you're right. You're working on everything like that, as we
Right.
just went over. You're consistently improving now in those areas,
Mm.
so you're already headed towards it. And that's really all we ever are, is headed towards it. Because by the time you're at what right now you might consider an acceptable level of control, by the time you're there, you're going to want even more, or you're going to want to be adding something else, right? So
Oh yeah,
I think you're already
absolutely.
on the solution yourself there. I don't really need to tell you anything. You got it.
Oh yeah, it's my own thing that I fight with. Like for example, like Monday. You know what I mean? We were at it all day Monday, working towards our goal, and then like 3:30 hit, and I was like, you know what? I didn't do enough. I didn't get everything done that I wanted to, but I'm gonna take off and go to bed. And I had to think about that the next day and be like, nah, man. Like, you really put the work in. You know everything didn't go as planned, but you showed up. You were there. And so I just gotta constantly remind myself of that. Shut down that you're not enough type of thinking that goes on in my head.
Absolutely, man. And in that particular case, because as you said, I was a part of it. I think there's a couple takeaways you can take from that, right? First being you had already realized you weren't going to be able to publish the site on your own. You needed my verification for it, which neither of us knew when I went to sleep, or I would have done whatever I had to do it. So you couldn't have totally completed everything, number one. Number two, you already had gotten all but the favicon done, which you only now are still trying to figure out. So, like, it's important to be able to say, I don't think realistically I'm going to be able to get this done in any period of time that I could stay up and remain productive, right? That's kind of where I was at the end of that day too. I was starting to get tired, and I noticed through messaging you, I was like missing letters and whole words and stuff. And that's when I was like, uh-oh, what's this gonna mean if I were to put something out right now? It's gonna be missing all that probably. So then, I discussed it with you, and when it became clear, like, well, there's hours of work left to do, I might as well just go to bed.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I do stay up and I work for those hours, what kind of quality am I gonna get here? You
Right.
know? Um,
Yep.
and again, be realistic with it. If it's like, oh well, I can still put out decent, maybe not the best, but decent quality, go with it. If you're gonna miss whole words, letters, mess up whole sentences, you might as well just go to bed.
Right.
Same as like if you're so tired you're zoning out for a half hour between being productive for 10 minutes, you might as well just go to bed.
Exactly. But it's taking the time to really know yourself and recognize, when you're at that point for sure.
Oh, absolutely. I'm just going over all the things that it already does sound like you were considering. Um, and so, how to come to conclusion with those and what have you. And not because also at the same time, 3:30 already was hours past when you normally would have went to bed.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
And that's
So,
usually in my nighttime wind down. I'll sit there and kind of play over some of those things. Challenge those thoughts, and then again when I wake up, I kind of do the same, and so I sacrifice that at that point. You know what I mean? It's like fuck that. I'm just too tired. I'm gonna just go crash. And so yeah, it's like making those decisions that are kind of at detriment to myself, just trying to meet this perceived idea I have in my head.
absolutely. I say it with compassion here, my friend, because I have the exact same problem. I have a history of when there's something I perceive as being very important, I will sacrifice all of this, what I would categorize most certainly as self-care stuff for it, and it is important to maintain that.
Yeah,
Especially right
I
now, who are you working for, Really, you work for yourself. So it's me or you, and neither of us is gonna shit on you for being like, yo, I'm exhausted. I just need to go and recuperate. I'll get back to it in the morning. You know,
absolutely.
it's all understood. There's nobody putting that pressure on you. It's important to recognize that because again, I'm the same way, and a lot of that comes from people or in my head that aren't in my real life anymore. It's conditioned thoughts based on things other people have said. And
Absolutely.
those people aren't a part of what's going on anymore. Don't give them that power. You know what I mean? And don't give your own dark side that power. You know?
Mhm. Right. It's like, where's the squeeze coming from? You know what I mean?
Normally, just to be clear, if it was coming from almost anywhere else, I wouldn't really be addressing this as much with you, but I had a part to play in this. You know what I mean? So I just want to be clear that there is no pressure in that sense here. You're working hard enough, man. You don't got to push yourself till 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. You want to push yourself till 2, one day or something, go for it if it doesn't mess with your next day. But once you're getting to like, now you're only getting 5 hours of sleep because you wake up at 8 o'clock every day now. That's going to impact your whole day. It's going to be harder to make good decisions.
Oh yeah, no doubt. I was in a fog yesterday, you know what I mean? Just trying to recover from that. So,
Oh, absolutely.
and
Absolutely.
oftentimes I'm the same way. The first thing to go when things start to get stressful are the things that keep me going in stress. You know what I mean?
And it's definitely, but it's an important lesson, I think the most extreme example, at least for me, is relationships. I've done it a lot in relationships. I start sacrificing the wind down routine, and then the wake up routine goes, and then my training altogether goes, and oh, now the nutrition can slip. And a
Yeah.
year in, like, who the hell are you, You're not who you
Nope.
were before, because you don't do the things that you need to do to maintain you. So I think that's and given that's part of what you're doing professionally now, is trying to show people, not through these sessions, ignore these sessions in terms of professional, because these are just us here. Yes, we're recording. People may watch this, but I'm not concerned about them. Here, I'm concerned about you, and professionally, in terms of what you do on social media, in terms of, even your tech stuff, we're doing it related to health. So let's be healthy ourselves, all the more. And I say that in hopes that it's encouragement, not discouragement. I hope that's encouragement.
Of course.
Because for
Yeah.
me, it is. For me, that's encouraging to think about.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's why I started doing all this stuff. You know what I mean? And even the hypnosis and all that stuff, it all came from a desire to promote health and wellness. So yeah, my goal is that optimum health, and not just physically, of course, mentally and in my interactions with other people, but specifically in this context, the physical aspect, which for me has always been very difficult. Taking care of my
Absolutely,
physical
man.
body. Yeah.
Absolutely. So to just bring that back around now, those things are what will keep you headed towards optimum, right? In order to even start headed that way, you got to have that foundation in place. So let's not sacrifice that in our pursuit of further. And that's what we're building here, So that kind of ties into the other issue we were talking about earlier. And just again, the grace with self, right? Just remember that, you got to maintain your foundation in order to move forward.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's inherent, and that's even something that I work on in my external counseling outside of this, is that, like, observation and acceptance without judgment. You know what I mean? And then turning
Absolutely.
that into myself and not just other people is yeah, that's where
It
it
can be
comes
the
from.
harder one for some of us. Absolutely. I think it depends on the person, but definitely it can be harder to do it with self. So I want to say, with all that being said, though, you are doing great on the two goals you have right now. You're getting the amount of food that's appropriate, or at least around it at this point, and you're getting more consistent with your wake up time, and even your downtime actually now is just kind of falling in place around 7 to 8 hours, it seems, right for you. So that's good. Let's stick with that. And if you're able to keep those two things consistent, then in our next session, because we talked about each week, right?
Mhm.
So in our next session, if in a week you've remained consistent, then we can talk about adding more specificity to this, right? Which, depending on how you're feeling, I'm thinking is going to mean getting more on point with the times you eat,
Mhm.
would be the very next single step. If you wanted to try two steps, we could try the times you eat and the proteins that are in the meals. Because it seems to me from reading your food logs that the proteins are the ones that you struggle the most to get.
Okay.
And again, I wouldn't be worried about how much. Let's just start. We would just go to that next in a week. What do you think? One or two?
I'm gonna say one for now, but we
Okay.
can revisit that in a week. See how it go.
So yeah, man, I think that you're doing really well. At the moment, the only thing I can say otherwise is about your morning routine, which we haven't really touched on yet. How has that been going? I don't know that we set one solidly in stone, but I know we set a general one for you. We're going to wake up, get some water, go and get something to eat it slowly, ease into your day. How's that all been going?
Morning routine's been a little rough. Yeah, honestly, but oftentimes I just go right out and get the coffee, and just kind of I either sit and do my breathing exercises for a few minutes, or I just jump on my phone and look and do stories or scroll for a little bit. And so, personally, that's something I've been working on breaking with myself, altering my habits there a little bit. So yeah, I mean, if you want to kind of brainstorm, talk about any tips you might have to help me kind of break that cycle, or we could just talk through it. I'd be
No, absolutely, man. I have some suggestions for you. That's all I would call these, you know. Tips are a little more general, I feel. You know, I have some suggestions so that we can discuss them, see how you feel about them. We can hopefully find the right suggestion for you. So, my first would be something that I could actually help you with. I couldn't help all my clients with this, but we're friends, so I can provide this. This is about utilizing a support network,
Mhm.
right? Which can be difficult for a lot of us guys, I think. But I mean, we're friends, right? I can put this in a personal example for you, because if you're anything like me, and I know you are, we're friends, then it might be difficult for you to accept some assistance. But how are you feeling about that? I could shoot you a message each morning. Does that strike you as something you want to do? Something that sounds difficult? You're not really interested?
Mm,
And I'm just saying something like, you know, I already at least try to shoot you something in the morning because I've been working. So I could just include a like, hey man, you know, make sure you get you your water or something just to try and get the routine started.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Yeah, if you want to throw a little morning message in there, a little reminder, make sure you get your water or something like that, just to kind of set that trigger in my head. Yeah, I'd appreciate that.
Absolutely, man. And that's just so utilizing your support network, you know. I One suggestion I would have for anybody in this is, if you don't have one, to find somebody that can help remind you of or keep you on track, because all of us can use that. You know, it's helpful, even myself.
Oh yeah,
So yeah, I'll shoot with my messages in the morning. I'll shoot with you, hey man, get your water, and maybe a reminder about giving yourself some personal time to start your day, you know, get your mind straight instead of jumping onto the drama filled social media.
no doubt. Yeah, I even I kind of was brainstorming a little bit this morning. I think I'm gonna just put my phone over here on my desk just to break that cycle of jumping right on my phone. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And if you can do that, that's great. I'll be honest with you. I can't really do that anymore, right? Um, Between the fact that I listen to my audiobook first thing when I get up,
Mm-hmm.
and the fact that I have other things going on, such as the website, you know, to check on, see how things, just double check on, check my email, stuff like that. I feel like I do need to look at my phone. And plus, that's where my alarms are and where I keep my routine checklist and all this.
Mm-hmm.
So it might be difficult to do that, to like just keep your phone away from you like that for any period of time. But absolutely, that's always a helpful thing if you can, is just make the thing more inaccessible. You know, don't access it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, at least in the beginning, I'm trying to break that habit, because the goal is really just to not start bombarding myself with all that stuff very first thing, text messages, emails, and you know how it is. So even if it's just 10, 15 minutes, I think, that would be beneficial to me. Then I can take that time to kind of think and be like, okay, do I really want to hop on my phone, or do I want to meditate and talk to someone or take
Absolutely,
a quiet?
absolutely. Well, first, I think if you're gonna go all of that, you could kind of put it together in the packaging of, before you grab your phone, get up, get your glass of water, and calmly, don't chug it, calmly drink a full glass of water. By the time you're done with that, 15 to 20 minutes probably will have passed. Then you can access your phone.
Like that. Yeah, and I mean, I can also put on an audiobook or something too, just for that first 15 minutes, because that's, I mean, that's really what it is. Is I just wake up in a weird state mentally. So initially, I've trained myself to, smoke a cigarette and scroll phone, whatever, and so yeah.
Yeah, then putting another action in place of that might be also really helpful, such as grabbing a glass of water and actually drinking the whole thing before you do that. That's an action
Yep.
in place of another action.
Yeah, definitely, and I think, I mean, really, as far as like troubled areas or struggles, that's really the biggest thing that I'm working on right now. Is just that level of distraction that comes from my phone. Whether it be looking at Google News stories or YouTube Shorts, whatever the case may be. So yeah, and even that, I'm noticing progress. So
Yep. The other recommendation I would have, which is kind of a nice small step right now, given where you're at with everything, maybe start setting an alarm if you don't already for when to stop your work.
mhm.
And based on your logs, I would place it at about 11:45. That way, it's late enough to where if you stop there and you still stay up an extra hour, you're still getting 7 hours of sleep.
Mhm.
And it's also early enough where you still can have 15 minutes of downtime before going to bed if you stop at that point and feel exhausted and need to go straight to bed.
Right.
So
Right.
it's some point where I guess I'm saying you can feel like even on a tired day, you can say I have to push until 11:45 and feel good about that. But also on days when you're already feeling like going, you can stop at and feel like you pushed for a full day. You get what I'm saying? How it works both ways there.
Yep. No doubt.
So
Yeah,
that would
because
be my
I
recommendation.
I definitely noticed how intricately linked the two are, but the way that I feel in the morning and how I prepare for bed at night. So, the two kind of go
Well,
hand
and
in hand.
knowing what you do, there's definitely a lot of thinking going on. So you want to give your mind a little bit of time to slow the pace back down from the I got to output right now. I got to figure this out. I got to get that to work. I got to make that look right. All of this to, okay, it's time to rest. It's time to slow down.
No doubt. Yeah, that's been very helpful, man. Thank you.
Absolutely, man. That's what I'm here for. That's what I'm here for. Do you typically do anything before bed? What are your usual lead-ins to sleep, should we say?
It depends. I like to do like some breathing, like I said, and a little meditation. But I notice that I like fall asleep a lot of the time after that, and so I don't get to do the rest of my stuff. So yeah, I'm working on putting that as like the very last thing I do. Lay down and do one of those.
Definitely. No, the first meditation I ever did before bed was lying body scan, and I did the exact same thing. It would put me out. So
Yep.
I'm with you. Put it last, but keep it in there. It's great that a meditation leads right into that, I think. That's
Oh yeah,
awesome.
definitely. And I'm kind of working on some of my own like sleep stuff, like sleep affirmations and all that stuff as well. But right now I just turn my audiobook on, let it go for I put like the hour sleep timer on, and then usually I crash out in 10-15 minutes. So
That's a great foundation. It doesn't need to be anything too complex.
yeah.
You know, if anything, I'm guessing you do your usual brush teeth, yada 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 before bed. Between that and your meditation, because you said to put other things before that,
Mhm.
the one thing I would place before that is stretching. And for now, to stretch, all I would say is stretch out whatever feels tight by holding the stretch for 30 seconds, right? Do you know like some pretty basic stretches, across the front shoulder and maybe a side bend and a front bend maybe, or a seated front bend so you're kind of on the ground.
Mhm.
um all those really basic ones we do in school, use those to stretch out whatever is feeling it needs it, you know for now, by holding for 30 seconds, as long as again there's no pain anywhere or anything. that can be helpful in leading to sleep as well, to help relax the body. You're already doing something to relax the mind by meditating before bed.
Mhm.
And you don't need to do a whole lot, just a couple, even if it's just 3 to 5 to start out with, to put it there. Later on, we can get to more complex and an exact thing and blah, blah, blah. But right now, to keep it basic, just used to just stretching out whatever feels tight. I know we're sitting a lot by doing this computer work. Your hands are up here probably doing stuff. So maybe your chest feels a little tight or something. Stretch those out.
No doubt. No
And
doubt.
again,
Okay.
you can always reach out. Hey, man, I felt this was tight, but I didn't know a stretch for it. I'm here for that. That's part of my job.
It's something I got to make a note on because typically that's the only time I do think of stretching is when there's tension or tightness, or you know what I mean. And so to actually add that in, at my evening routine, and I think we even talked about it sometime in the morning as well. It just kind of giving that trigger to calm down and relax, and then the trigger to get up and get moving. Maybe put a little exercise in there. I like to do my push-ups and all that stuff sometimes. So.
Definitely, man. And yes, it can be very beneficial. I'm working on a blog post right now about a basic training regimen and how to put one together, specifically meaning a basic calisthenics with the workouts everybody knows, a push up, pull up, what have you, and how to embark on that. I think everybody should be able to do that on their own,
Mm.
put that together, have the knowledge at least to put a basic routine together with the very basic calisthenics, push up, pull up, all that. So
Okay.
yeah, that can be very beneficial. And when I get that blog post done, you know, you'll read it and we can discuss the possibility of beginning a workout routine for you if you'd like. But we already had discussed continuing to pursue pinpointing the times of meals. So I think you should choose one or the other. Maybe that's something good to think about until our next session. Consider which route you'd like to go. And again, think about it for now and wait to make your final decision until you read the post, because that'll fill you in maybe a little better as to what it'll entail to set up a full beginner calisthenics routine.
Yeah, I mean, I'll definitely know. We're working together all the time, and so we're having these conversations. But reading those blog posts has definitely been helpful in giving that kind of extra information, that extra view. And so I definitely appreciate that too. Kind of just it summarizes some of the stuff we talked about and adds some more to it as well. So that's definitely been helpful for me having those resources. So.
Good, I'm glad, man. That's why I'm doing all this. I'm glad to hear it's helpful for you.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, no doubt, man. I mean, this is what I love, having these conversations and kind of diving into some of the deeper things, and that's what we do between our content and these sessions, and we're really able to kind of iron out some of these things that we struggle with and that have been consistent problems in my life. It's really helpful to be addressing them, and by extension, other things are clicking and other perspectives, and it's just really a landslide event, and it's just starting with small changes, consistency, like routine. It's just, it's amazing, just want to point that out.
Absolutely. I'm glad to hear it, man. I really am. You know, this is what I'm hoping to help everybody do, but it's always nice to hear that it's actually having an effect on somebody. So thank you. I appreciate that. And it's great to see it clicking for you and see it helping you make progress. And again, I'm always here for you to reach out to if you have any questions or anything. Do you have any other questions, concerns about anything?
No, I think we covered it just about all, brother.
All right. Then I think that's it for our session today. It was a brief one, but again, I'll just a last reminder that whether you be at the grocery store having trouble with figuring out something to get, or you're struggling to find the right stretch for something, or you decide you're going to try a workout routine and you would like to work on that, reach out. Anytime. We're only meeting once a week, so I'm happy to speak with you anytime about any of this, you know. I would normally recommend 3 days a week beginning with people because it's again for what we had the reason that we addressed before the support network. I always hope people have their personal one, but it's always good to have a professional support as well that you can regularly discuss any problems that are coming up, any hiccups. Hey, I'm not able to get to something we said I was going to get to. How do I adjust for what's going on today? All of that are reasons to be working with a professional, you know, beyond at least a quality professional, beyond just the basic, I'm here to give you a routine and a meal plan. I'm here to consult also. So don't be afraid about reaching out to consult on any of these things, even if it's just that day's adjustment.
Mm. Yeah,
To get the quality that I hope to deliver to people, you're already at the lower end of our meeting frequency. So I encourage you to reach out anytime you have questions.
absolutely, definitely, I will. And I, coming from like my background, the recovery side of things, that's also something that's huge. Having that support team and those people that know what you're going through, that you can reach out and share your experience with. And so, yeah, I appreciate having that in you, man. It's very beneficial.
Absolutely, man. I'm happy to do it for you, you know?